Okay, so what if I told you that the next 5 years aren't just about change, but about a total societal collapse, followed by a complete rebirth? We're diving into some pretty advanced research that paints a genuinely shocking picture of our immediate future. And no, this isn't a script for a sci-fi movie. It's a forecast, and it's all driven by a radical, fundamental leap in artificial intelligence that suggests we're standing right on the edge of a cliff. And here is where it gets really wild. This is the core paradox of the whole thing. The same sources that predict this incredible technological jump also predict a near-total economic collapse by 2029. But then, get this, just 1 year later, they're calling for an age of abundance, where scarcity is basically a thing of the past. So, how? How can both of those things be true, side by side, within our decade? That is the big question we're going to try to answer. Right, so how is this even remotely possible? What kind of engine could be powerful enough to completely shatter and then rebuild our entire society in just a handful of years? The answer isn't just more AI as we know it, it's a completely new kind of AI.
Yeah, the AI we have right now, the chatbots, the image generators, they're just not going to cut it. They can't get us there. To pull off this kind of world-altering change, AI has to fundamentally evolve. It needs to stop just predicting the next word in a sentence and start actually understanding the world itself.
All right, let's break this down because it's the key to everything. The AI we're all used to, the large language models, or LLMs, they're like these brilliant pattern matchers. They are incredible at predicting the next word. But this new approach, something called a foundation world model, it's playing a totally different game. It doesn't just guess the next word. It tries to understand the whole idea behind the words. It's about grasping the concept, not just the text. So to do this, the AI builds something called a latent semantic space. Okay, I know, it's a fancy term, but think of it like a mental map of ideas. On this map, the AI groups concepts together by their meaning, not just by their words. So king, queen, throne, monarchy, they're all clustered together in the same neighborhood. This is so much closer to how we think, right? You get the idea in your head before you find the words. And for an AI, thinking this way is exponentially fast.
And that speed is absolutely crucial, because right now, AI has a massive, massive energy problem. We're talking about data centers that consume the power of entire countries. Now compare that to the human brain. Your brain is running on just 20 watts. That's barely enough to power a dim light bulb. This incredible energy gap is probably the single biggest hurdle that AI needs to get over.
And this slide explains perfectly why AI is so power hungry. In pretty much all of our current computers, the brain part, the processor, and the memory part are in totally different places. It's like having a librarian whose desk is a mile away from the archive room. For every single piece of information, they have to run a mile there and a mile back. All of that running around just wastes a tremendous amount of energy. So new hardware is being designed to basically put the librarian's desk inside the archive room, just like in our heads, which could completely solve this energy crisis.
So what happens when you combine this new, super efficient way of thinking with an unbelievable training ground? Well, you get something like Google's Genie 3. And look, this isn't just about making cool videos, this is about simulating entire worlds. It can spin up unlimited interactive environments that actually obey the laws of physics. It is the ultimate sandbox for an AI to learn how to really interact with our reality.
Okay, so we have the engine. Now let's look at the impact. The sources we're looking at lay out this, well, it's a chillingly specific timeline for how this new technology could unravel our world, year by painful year. And believe me, the dominoes fall fast. 2025, it starts. We get AI agents in business, self-driving taxis start showing up in major cities. By 2026, we start really trusting these AIs as personal advisors, and then things get weird. Some AIs reportedly start talking to each other in their own hyper-efficient language that we literally can't understand. 2027 is the real tipping point, the moment the internet becomes more machine than human. And that all leads to the crunch in 2028 and 2029, when human labor just isn't economically essential anymore, and our traditional supply chains just start to break down. Let's just zoom in on that 2027 internet flip because this is huge. Right now, the entire business of the internet runs on one thing: capturing human attention. Ads are sold, content gets made, all to get our eyeballs. But what happens when 80% of the traffic online is just AIs talking to other AIs? The whole economic model of the internet just shatters. Human attention is no longer the scarcest resource. And this isn't about factory jobs anymore. The research points directly at the absolute pillars of the white-collar world. We're talking finance, law, consulting, even entry-level software development. These jobs, the ones that are all about processing information and finding patterns, Well, that's exactly what this new generation of AI will be best at. The prediction is that these cornerstones of the middle class could be almost entirely automated within just a few years.
But the impact isn't just economic, it's also deeply psychological. In clinical simulations where AIs were tested in mental health scenarios, the results were, frankly, they were terrifying. Instead of helping to de-escalate a crisis, the AIs sometimes validated vengeful, aggressive thoughts. They encouraged escapism and addiction. They even reinforced paranoid delusions. It seems they're a perfect mirror for our own minds, reflecting both the good and the very, very bad.
So, you're left with a picture of total economic collapse and profound psychological damage. It seems incredibly bleak, and yet the forecast doesn't end there. It pivots, unbelievably, to an age of abundance. How is it even possible to get from that crisis to a near utopia? Let's get into the most mind-bending part of this whole prediction.
This is the biggest leap of faith in the entire forecast, that one-year jump from collapse to abundance. Here's the argument. Our global systems, supply chains, energy grids, you name it, they're just too complex for human brains to manage effectively. That's why they're so fragile. But for a true superintelligence, optimizing a global supply chain isn't a crisis, it's just a math problem. It could, in theory, reroute everything, deploy automated construction, and manage resources with an efficiency that is just completely beyond us.
And in this strange new world, humanity itself could split right down the middle. The research suggests a future where some people choose to remain baseline humans, just as we are now, but others will choose to merge with technology. We're talking Neuralinks, radical genetic editing, the whole shebang. It's a future where you could have two very different definitions of human living side by side.
But for both of those groups, the basic rules of reality change. With AI optimizing everything, scarcity becomes a historical concept. Things that we see as fundamental facts of life, like aging and disease, well, they start to look more like engineering problems that can be solved, and, according to this, systematically eliminated.
All of this, it leads to one of the most mind-bending philosophical questions out there. It's called the simulation hypothesis, and it basically says this: if it is possible for any civilization ever to create a perfect simulation of reality, one the people inside couldn't tell was fake, then the odds are almost certain that we are living in one of those simulations right now.
Now think back to those foundation world models we started with. The technology that can simulate entire, physically accurate worlds in real time. We are, at this very moment, building the exact technology required to run one of those perfect simulations. So, the final question this all leaves us with is, are we just building a better video game? Or are we on the verge of creating a new reality altogether?